The following topics in the podcast may be sensitive to some people. If you are one of these people and you are experiencing depression or feeling that you can't go on in life, you are very important. Just know that. And there are services that you can get in touch with to help you through trying times. The one that I recommend is Shout, and you text them on 85258. That's 85258, or just Google Shout. Someone will be in touch. It's completely free, it's completely confidential. But just remember, you have loved ones. People will miss you if you decide to do something silly like taking your life. Um, and I'm always open to talking if you ever want to chat. You might not know me. I am just a voice on a podcast, but I'm always happy to talk to anyone that is struggling. Enjoy the show. This week on Hatter or Lower, we are joined by yet another very special guest. A warm welcome to the podcast, the Great Dane, Lars Elstrup. How are you getting on today, Lars?
I am fine and good, and hello, Luton and England.
Yes, hello, Luton, indeed. It's tremendous having you on the pod. The main thing is I want to discuss your book because it's a real page turner. For those who didn't know, it was originally released in Danish in 2012. It had a re-release and an extra chapter added to it in English at the beginning of 2024. It's a real page turner. What was that process like with all the interviews to get that book out?
Well, the book, I was asked by 10 different journalists if they could write the book on me. And I turned 9 people down as I felt it was not the right person to write the book. So the 10th I said yes to. And it has a reason when you make or feel contact with another person, if he can describe the situation I have been in. It's like dancing. If you choose a dance partner, you would like the one you can swing with. So I said yes to the 10th, and he made the book in 2012.
Okay. And they did a very good job with it because they've interviewed people that you knew, they've interviewed your parents. So you get a really well-rounded understanding of what makes up Lars. And of course, you've contributed quite a bit there, and different parts of your journey, players that you've played with, nice little stories. It's absolutely tremendous. And we'll touch upon a few bits of them there, but anxiety and fear of the unknown are quite recurring themes in your book. And you always seem to be more comfortable in your own skin when you're at Denmark. Like, whether you apologies if I butcher all the names, but when you're at a dance, you were happier. You always decided that you wanted to finish your career there. You knew that. So how did you decide to move to Luton after your experience at Feyenoord?
Well, first, I have to ask you, how long time do we have?
Oh, as long as you want.
All right. All right. Well, every person and every player is in his own situation. And if you split people up in, you can be either introvert or you can be extrovert. You can be submissive or you can be aggressive. You can be the one that is being abused or you can be the abuser. And we ought all have our personality. And I was my personality. I was the introvert that was unsecure, not doing things good enough. So I was never good enough in my own mind because I was told you can always do better. So I was not the one that looked up for the press and wanting them to hear my words. So I have my situation when I was a football player. And you have your career, you have your job, I had mine, and you try to get the best out of it. It's natural for every person. So I made my way in the job I had, but I was never fully 100% happy because of my own situation and circumstances. Yes, you can give me an additional question on this.
Yeah, so when you're a Feyenoord, it was obviously a very different situation to a Luton, because you said you were more adapted to the English game anyway. And you said that the players at Luton, just to paraphrase, there was more graft, there was more camaraderie, there wasn't that competitive edge that there was in the Feyenoord team, where everyone was like playing for bonuses, everyone was playing for appearance fees and whatnot. So what made you? Because obviously there was the unknown before you joined Luton Town. You didn't know. For all you knew, Luton Town could have been very similar to Feyenoord. It could have been a dictatorship held by a few top players.
There can be many reasons for making a move for the person, for the football player. My biggest reason was I could make a lot of money. That was a big thing in my head. You can secure yourself and your retirement or in years to come. Furthermore, there is always the adventure of going to a new place and experience new culture and new ways of playing football, and you will be challenged also. That part is also present. When I went to Feyenoord, I was 23 years old and I was inexperienced. So I learned a lot from 2 hard years in Holland and then 14 months in Odense, where I managed to get to the national team, and I got the kind of GOAT in Danish football as a striker. So I felt I was also ready to go to Luton and England and Premier League. So one has to make a decision at some point. Should I go or should I not go? What should I do? What should I not do? So I make the decision, looking at it all in total, and then you give it a go. And that is what I did.
Yeah, and give it a go you did. You certainly made a splash in your second season at Luton Town. You outscored some, legends of the game. You outscored Rush in your second season, and that was in a team that was battling relegation. It's an interesting one about how you left Luton Town, because obviously with Feyenoord you were there for 2 years, but you were unhappy. You were relatively happy at Luton Town, but you'd initially signed a 2-year contract, and Bosmans weren't a thing back then for younger listeners. Bosmans only came about around the turn of the millennium. So when it came to choosing your next move after Luton, with your contract having expired, but the only option was either go amateur somewhere, and obviously for those who don't know, you moved back to Odense for £250,000, but you actually gave the club the option, right, of saying, look, I can either leave and become an amateur back in Denmark, or I can, or you can sell me and actually make some money on me.
Well, saying the words, I will go back and play as an amateur, is only part of negotiations. It is nothing more than that. So when somebody wants something, you fight for your way to get your things so it suits yourself. And I made up my mind when I came to Luton on the first day that after these 2 years, that was the way I felt when I came to Luton. After these 2 years, I would like to go back to Odense, back home, in my safe surroundings. And after 2 years with Odense, I would stop my career. I would be 30 years at that time because I felt I want to get out of the game and find something else. I was not happy whether I had success or not. And finding the happiness became more important than winning a football game or standing with a trophy over my head. And that is looking for more. That I was looking for early on. I can say also when I was 20 years old. This has always been with me.
You were very commercially inclined. It's interesting that you said that I would leave as a free agent. That was and sign an amateur contract. That was a good negotiation tactic. So you actually signed professional terms at Brøndby at the age of 23. I want to say
22 years. Yeah, 22.
Yeah, and before that, you worked for Danish Bank.
Yes,
Yeah.
Danish Bank. I played as an amateur football player from my hometown Randers in Jutland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tremendous story, and like how much of a splash you made in the game, considering your career lasted about 7 years. It's absolutely tremendous, really. But I want to talk about mental health awareness as well, because it's a relatively recent development. We were talking about it off air prior, that we all know the saying, it's okay to not be okay, but realistically, do people actually talk? And considering the 7 years that you had in the professional game, do you ever reflect on whether you could have extended your career if you had been able to open up about your mental state?
Yes, if you can adapt to changes and change yourself in the situation you are, the future will look different than if you don't change. That one can always say, and it is also true. But I also look back and say I got the best out of it when the days were there. And there's no need to regret and think I could have done worse or I could have done better. You get what you get in the situations you're in. And looking for more. If I cannot do it back then I can do it now, today. I'm thinking about who I am today, what I do, what I say, when I talk to and when I listen to others. And I'm looking and reflecting upon my own things so I can turn into something better or more clever, more smart, more wise, more calm, more patience. So when I wake up tomorrow morning and do the same things in my house, I take a coffee, I go out on and sit down on the street, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I measure myself on how I am tomorrow morning compared to this morning. Am I happy? Am I smiling? Do I understand more of what is going around around me or inside me? And the inside is measured on your happiness and your joy. So this is what I'm looking for every day now. So I can be fresh in mind, which is young in mind, and understand what is going on. When you get that thing and feeling you understand something, it gives you the thrill down the spine and all over because you are thrilled about life and being alive.
So this must be a relatively recent development, because you've tried finding the meaning and what gives you that everyday happiness. So following your retirement, you joined, I don't know the exact word, sex, and you changed your name to Durando, the river that flows. Yeah. What was that? Was that part of trying to find yourself? Did that give you happiness?
Yes, I stopped my career when I was 30 years old, and I stopped because I could not smile anymore. And when I looked at people on the street and saw them smile, I thought to myself, why can't I smile? I've seen pictures with me with a huge smile on my face, But that was when I was 29. And I cannot recognize myself, seeing myself with a smile when I think how I felt inside. I was not smiling inside. How can I put a smile on my face? So the inner smile, if we call it that, had gone. I wanted to find that again. So you look in other directions, which I did, and you have to try some things out to get some experiences and try out something for yourself in your life to try to find what you're looking for.
So did you manage to, you've obviously been on this journey of self-actualization. So have you managed to sort of dig down and find your smile now?
Yes, I have a strong feeling that I have. During the past 31 years, I've been through depression periods 5 times, each lasting 3 years. So it's, and in between there are ups, and we can call depression period a down. So there has been ups and downs. And the last time I got back on my legs was the 1st of January 2022. That is 2.5 years ago. And it is like, it is with a new me, with a new basis and a new understanding. And I have to look out every day that my share, my life share, or my happiness does not go down. And that is to build something that is constant and that is solid, which becomes the foundation. This I feel I have found.
That's amazing to hear, because so many people just, you just said it. It's taken you pretty much 31 years to reach that level where you found your smile, where you found some sort of mental equilibrium. It's absolutely tremendous. And of course, when you in 2022, I believe, or maybe it was 2023, you actually came back to visit Kenilworth Road.
Yes.
And you met the current owners, who obviously watched you play in your pomp. Like, how was that?
Gary Sweet.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a great guy, and I heard he put you up in a hotel, didn't he?
Yes. The story with coming back was after 31 years. I'm 29. I was there when they were about to promote, playing the 3rd last game in the regular tournament. I came on a Friday without warning, actually, or notifying. So I got into the reception and was well met. And 10 minutes later, Gary Sweet came down from upstairs, sitting in a meeting with 9 businessmen. And he just came to greet me. I was 26 when I came to Luton, and Gary was 18 or 19, he told me. And I've never seen Gary before. So I was his biggest idol. And he just had to go down and meet me. I was about to shake hands with him, and he said, "Lars, that is not enough." So he gave me a big hug. That was Friday morning, and Luton had to play on Monday night. I'd spent one night in London, and I was on a kind of budget, or I had no access to money in my account. So Gary felt I was a bit, he said, "Are you going to watch the game on Monday?" And I told him, well, this and this. And he said to me, "Don't worry, Lars, we will take care of you." So he took out the club MasterCard and booked me in a hotel, very fine one, for 4 nights, free meals and free taxi around in town. And I've never seen the man before.
Well, that explains why the transfer budget was so limited.
So when you talk about I'm being a legend and loved, you can certainly feel it when you meet a man like this, and you are overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed with him. I understand much more from my time in Luton when I see this now.
Well, it cuts both ways. I mentioned to you before we hit record that although you're there for 2 years, you've left such a lasting impression on everyone at Luton. You mentioned the name Lars Elstrup, and it's closely followed by Des Walker. Just like when you scored that goal where Des Walker just couldn't catch you, right?
Yes, that are memories that are printed in our minds that will keep with us forever, and we cherish and we like. That is good. I'm thinking about, we can talk about downs and depressions, and how to live with that or be in that place. But there are also ups and good times where you feel the happiness and everything is bright and you love life and you love what you do. You love going to training for the bike ride, meeting the teammates, whatever it is. Those have also been present. And if you're overwhelmed by darkness, you cannot appreciate and make use of the good times. So when I work with myself, I look at myself, and I was doing a training with the old guys at Odense Football Club. That was 14 days ago, and it was the first time I played football for 5 months. And when I was on my bike on my way back home, 2 kilometers alongside the creek with trees and birds, I had the feeling inside me as 61-year-old, having played the game, being with the teammates, having the talk in the dressing room. And I loved it all. And the same feeling of being happy was there 14 days ago when I finished that training. So I am young again in mind and happy in mind, as I also was at times with Luton, Odense, any club. This can be a state of mind you're in, but how to keep it and how to be in this state 24 hours a day for the rest of your life. That's what I've been looking for on my spiritual search. So things gets lost when you're in the darkness and you cannot remember and appreciate, but you can find it again, the state of mind where you are happy when you do the right works and right things for you. And this is happening to me when I get this feeling going on the bike back home. Then age doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're 20 and you can run this fast, or you're 61 and you can run not so fast, because it's the happiness it's about. So that is, I forgot your question now.
Yeah, it's all right. I've forgotten my question as well.
All right.
It
was. I felt like saying this when you said something to me.
No, of course, but you can. It's important because, again, like, I want to beat the drum that this is about mental health awareness,
Yes.
more than anything else. Like, yeah, we can talk a bit about football, but people need to hear this from, I don't want to say from someone that has beaten mental health problems, because you never beat mental health problems. It's always lurking behind you like a shadow. But people need to hear this. And touching upon, like, I'm assuming this is from another one of your depressive episodes. Everyone's seen the picture of you storming a pitch. I think it was Randers, where you did a naked handstand. Great form, by the way. I haven't done a handstand. I haven't done a handstand in about 20 years. Did a handstand. Right. My keys fell out my pockets, and I couldn't drive home because I couldn't find them. So tremendous form. But what happened there?
Well, it's funny you say it was in a depression period. That is your eyes, that you, when you see me do this, you think, well, what is Lars doing? Is he sad? Is he in a depression period? I am doing this when I'm in an up period and feel happy and ready to do these things. So every person has different eyes and looks differently. And you understand the things you see in your own way. So when I did that thing, I felt good. Yes, that is one thing. You are talking a lot, and in your talking there is more questions.
No, of course. Well, that's the sign of a good interview, where when a question begets more questions.
Yes, it's natural.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was thinking about, yes, when you're in a depression period, because of the way things are set up, the way we grow up, children grow up, and we live in society, we are actually not learning anything. We are being trained to fit in. So there is no disturbance for those who teaches us. And one's inner can be happy with that, or it can be unhappy. And the unhappy will look for more and will need to find out how to break out. But there is no one to support you, because there has been no one to support and guide you in breaking out. Otherwise, you would not have got in trouble. So it becomes a road and a journey for the individual to find out, how can I find out of more? And then you start looking elsewhere than from your normal surroundings.
So, because that wasn't in a period where you were struggling mentally, it's good to hear that is how you act when you're not bad, because I imagine with depression you pretty much find it hard to get out of the house, but it's good that you forced yourself to go out and do things as well. There was a story I read about where I think you were in London, and there was a charity football game between Enemy and Loaded Magazine, and you entered the pitch in your underwear and bagged 5 goals.
No, it was not during a match. It was on Trafalgar Square.
Okay.
It was. Is that not Lord Nelson?
Yeah, I think it was Trafalgar Square.
Trafalgar Square. I was sitting with my legs crossed. I don't know if I have a lady's dress on or maybe only just small underpants, but I covered my genitals with my hand so it looked like I was naked. So you see what you see, but if you have time to get a closer look on what you're looking at, you can see more. But no journalist has reported this incident that Lars was wearing underwear. They were writing he is naked, but that is not the truth. But the truth becomes how deep you can look into things.
But you scored 5 goals, right?
Which game is that?
No, in this game between Enemy and Loaded at Trafalgar Square.
I don't recall that game. I don't know. I don't know what game you're talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't from your book. It was I found an article about the exploits of Lars Elstrup, and I'll send it to you afterwards. Yeah. Oh, well, no problem. Scoring goals for Lars Elstrup, I guess you scored so many, they sort of blend into one, whether, they're games or not games. But we should talk as well about, considering it's the Euros at the moment. By the way, I'm really sorry about Denmark. To be honest, the team that Denmark have these days, it's not the same as the team that you played in. You had the Laudrup brothers, you had Peter Schmeichel. You had some tremendous players in that squad, and it's interesting. You talk about Peter Schmeichel in your book. You're not really his biggest fan, are you?
Well, I wasn't back then, but things turn when you get to see other persons in other situations. So my views on Peter Schmeichel also turned, and also when I watch him now, and it also depends on my own eyes and my changes when I look at other people and can come to an acceptance on how they are. So I didn't like Peter Schmeichel back then because I think he had his ways and they didn't suit me. I didn't, but he does his things because he believes in those which is right for him to do. So things change when you change yourself.
But do you think potentially he's grown up as well? Because he was obviously quite he was relatively young when he was back at Brøndby. He moved to the Premier League when he was, well, I think he was like late 20s, early 30s potentially. But from the the discussions, the things that you put across about training, it sounded like perhaps he was a bit ahead of his time in terms of how goalkeepers act. Because you see goalkeepers that are very aggressive these days. They demand, you see when they score it, when they concede a goal, the first thing that a goalkeeper does is berate all the players in front of him.
I don't think anyone can be ahead of his time because you live in the time you are in. If you are more skilled and more clever and adventurous and can foresee things and introduce new aspects to the game, then Peter Schmeichel was that because he dared do it and he was good and he trusted in himself. He's not ahead of his time. He's becoming the GOAT and the leader of his time.
Yeah, he was an important part to that Denmark team, and so you won the European Championships. You scored the goal against France that put Denmark into the semi-final. Now that is a moment of elation that every football fan, everyone that's ever kicked a ball dreams of. But your reaction to it was you simply didn't want to play the final.
Yes. The first 4 games during 92 European Championships, I felt good and confident. And I would have liked to play the games. I was a substitute, but I would like to be in the starting line. So I got my success and I did my, what do you say? I was part of it. And things changed for me after the semi-finals, going into the finals. My mind changed and I got scared and afraid of performing and becoming a failure and the bad guy in the public eye. So subconsciously and consciously, I withdrew. And by being scared, you are withdrawing from what is going on. That happened to me. So I didn't want to play the final game.
So it sounds a lot like imposter syndrome, where you felt. Did you get the feeling that, what am I doing here? I'm not good enough, or did you never doubt your abilities?
I think it's all there, and how you it is all there, but I don't want to be part of it and be involved. I just want to be watching and not interacting. That is the feeling I had.
And also you mentioned in your book the fear of when you. So the interesting story about when you tendered your retirement, you did it by fax, and then you just went off on holiday. But did you have that fear of disappointing your dad, who had been such a strong figure in your early football career?
Oh, the fear has always been there of my dad and other people, because every child is brought up with a set of parents or whatever it is, and if a child do not have a good feeling about the energy and the person around you, but it becomes scared of the adult, then you cannot grow and mature, because fear will be overwhelming and can strike at any moment. If you have a grown-up next to you that will show you good, true values in life, you get to build trust and comradeship and friendship with this person, which is something to build on.
No,
A child that gets physically beaten by someone and told that you are bad and I'm right and you have to trust me will not feel safe. It will get traumas.
Oh wow. It's obviously it's something that speaks to a lot of people as well, because fear of letting down one's parents, obviously, as you hit the nail on the head there, it's ingrained from such a young age.
Let me now mention an example for you. In the West, we have our culture and ways of looking at life and also community. And we are brought up to be winners. There is nothing wrong with being a winner. But we also live in a hard environment that if we make a mistake, then we are not perfect. And if there are 6 people next to us and I drop a plate on the floor and it is broken, the 6 people in the West would point fingers at me and tell me, hey Lars, you're clumsy. Why can you not take care of things? Now you are a mess for the others of us, and we'll have to clean up after you. So you're nagging on the one that makes a mistake. In the East, I've traveled to India many times, and in the East, India, Asia, they have different culture, different upbringing, also Africa. That is, if you make a mistake, you have 6 friends to help you to get through it, and it is no big deal. But if you make a big deal out of a small thing, it becomes a negative effect it has on the person that makes the mistake. We are not allowed to make mistakes in the West because we have to be perfect. And that is sick, actually, when it happens this way. But this is what we are going through in the West, and we'll have to learn and deal with it. So it's not up to me to blame anyone. It is up to me to set the pace in the classroom and help people to overcome things and learn new things, and to be strong at one's own inner and confident.
It's very true. Do you think that is something that should be translated into football squads, in the sense that
it's the same?
Yeah, well, I know, like, someone falls over in training, it's all like, ha ha, fall over, look at you. But in reality, like, going back to your final days, where it was fairly obvious that you weren't right. You were sad. You were having you weren't enjoying your time there. Do you feel it should have been slightly different, in the sense that perhaps players should have looked around and seen that there was an unhappy teammate, try and bring them on board, try and raise them up?
It is not possible. Things were like they were when I played, and they are the way they are now when people are playing. It is the same. I can mention you an example using Peter Schmeichel. We were playing 5 against 2 with 2 people in the middle. So the 5 have to keep the ball away from the 2 in the middle. And Peter Schmeichel, the way he plays this game is he gave me a ball that was hard and a bit inaccurate, so I could not handle it. So who's going to get into the middle, him or me? And he for sure felt it was not him, because he said his things, you'd have to do this, you have to be ready. But I was ready and I did my best, and I felt it was him that made a bad pass. So we actually stood there for 20 seconds. It was, of course, in the national game. Michael Laudrup was one of the 5 ones also. So Peter Schmeichel stood on his ground. I stood on my ground. And it ended up with nobody would make his way. So Michael Laudrup said, all right, I will go in the middle. And it became an incident. My legs were trembling for half a minute afterwards, taking a confrontation with the big Peter Schmeichel. But I wanted to make my stand. And what happened was, how strong are you when you make a stand? So the next ball I got, my legs were shaking and I couldn't hit the ball, so I had to go into the middle. But I don't think you could shake Peter Schmeichel, but that was the way he was interacting with people or treating and doing his things. So for me, when you make a stand, how strong are you? How strong was I? I was as I were.
Yeah, well,
And getting out. Listen, getting out of this state, how strong you are, is a new area for every person. If you want to find more, but you can try and do small to build strength, and how to build strength, and not allowing others to abuse me if I feel abused. Blaming the other one is always easy, but the real progress is looking at what it does to me and how to get out of something and how to treat and be with other people. Be at ease, yell back, smile back, something. But that will.
But that emotional awareness that you speak of, it needs to be ingrained in everyone.
Actually, yes, each person on this planet needs to work with spirituality, human growth to mature. It is in the other world a state of mind you can reach where you're not attached to feelings and you are detached to your feelings. You reach a state where you're not affected by what others do. Then you can react to the other person. And getting from one state of mind to another state of mind is a matter of practice and wanting to get there. It is possible for any person to move and change and for the better.
Well, let's talk a bit about Luton Town now. So in your book, you mentioned you had a few friends there, people that were good souls.
Yes.
In particular, your stories
are.
about Mick. Yeah, they're all good, weren't they? There was a very different workmanlike attitude where everyone mucks in, everyone was pulling towards a common goal. There was no tier system in place at Luton. Everyone was sort of on a level playing field, and that is something that is the Luton way. It's still like that. We have no stars in the team. Even last season when we had Ross Barkley, even Ross Barkley was mucking in. You know, he was getting back, he was going forward, he was putting in a shift. So from your time at Luton Town, you had great stories about Mick Kennedy. You had friends in the squad like Alec Chamberlain and Kingsley Black too, right?
Yeah, Mark Pembridge, Kerry Hughes. Yes.
Kerry's a character.
Oh, yes. Well, you get the stories, but in a group, there is always someone you feel attracted to or you like more. Not that you have to dislike others, but some you get along with. It is only natural. And Mick Harford was a type in the dressing room I liked, because you could feel safe around him and he would not do things to make you look stupid or hurt you and stuff like that. And he was a solid guy, big, strong, and actually a very, very gentle man. And others have others' behaviors that made me feel uncomfortable. So I look for the one I feel comfortable with if I am an insecure person. Yes.
So, which players made you feel uncomfortable at Luton? Were there any?
Williams, for example, could be very harsh on other players and on the youngsters and do things that I would never do. And I think he was embarrassing them and harassing them. But that is my own eyes when I looked at it that time. Maybe he does his things his ways, which he feels is good. It's not. I don't want to talk bad about Steve Williams because this is one side, and there are many other sides that I might not have seen. That this is perfectly all right for some. So we all people have good things and bad things we do, and what I like in others.
Well, let's talk about the good times then. So, your best form came on the left hand side of a 4-3-3 with Ian Dowie and Kingsley Black. Who were the best teammates to play with?
Well, my second season was far more better than the first season. I was actually a failure in the first season, and I was about to go to Brest in France. Luton were about to sell me. It didn't happen. So I came back the second season in a much better shape, having trained back here in Odense, and said to myself, now I will give it a go. So I got in super form. And when you are in super form and you do good and you do it with more free mind, then you do things that you normally not would be able to do. And when I feel good in the dressing room and amongst the team players, you become a helping unit to each other. So the team can flourish and also the individual. So this is happening. And I build on those things that makes me perform and enjoy the game I love. And scoring goals, making goals, or you get the joy when a teammate scores a goal because you feel part of it. That's when you get the team effort and the individual works. So an example is that when we went to Scotland on a training camp pre-season, there was a cross from the left wing, and Darren McDonough was marking me, and I'm left-footed. So when the cross came in, it was for my right foot, but without thinking, I put the ball between my own legs. Darren McDonough kept going, and I went into the opposite direction, just like the goal against Nottingham Forest. With Stuart Pearce, you read the opponent, what to do, what is right to do in the moment. So I put the ball between my own legs. So I got my marker off me, and from outside the 18-yard box, I placed the ball in the top right corner with beating Alex Chamberlain, hitting the ball with my bad right foot. And Darren McDonough said to me, "Fucking hell, Lars." So he was impressed. It gives me the goosebumps when I talk about it. But you do things when you're out of your mind, you're free in your mind. There is no pressure, or you have understood how to keep pressure away, then you can perform.
But did a lot of your turnaround in form have to do with Ray Harford leaving and Jimmy Ryan and
There are some trainers that suit different players better than others. And
he was a left winger like you.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be that way. I should be able to find my own way also with any trainer I have. It's a bit contradictory. I'm talking now. But Jim Ryan certainly suited me better.
it showed on the pitch some of your performances that season. What was your most memorable game from that season, and why was it Nottingham Forest?
Because it was two beautiful goals, and I was playing against the big guys, Stuart Pearce, Des Walker, and Nigel Clough, and they had tremendous players also. We were playing away. We were not, I think Luton won 2 games away during a whole season. And we made it work, and I made it work for myself. So the 2 goals also became a kind of breakthrough. But the good feeling was when playing the game and on the pitch, that I did not have to look up to the others and say Stuart Pearce or Des Walker was better than me. No, we were at level. Luton at that game were at level with the best players. And we can compete with the best. That is the feeling I had in that game.
That's amazing. Right, Lars, we're going to play a little game now. It's a quiz we have called Hatter or Lower. So I'm going to name a few of your old teammates, and I'm going to give you the rules of the game right now. Hatter or Lower is powered by Hatters Heritage, a website that does the important job of preserving the history of our club. They always need volunteers and patrons, and you can check them out at hattersheritage.co.uk or get in touch by Googling Hatters Heritage. That's exactly what Will from Luton Facts and Figures has done to get the names and appearance totals for 20 Hatters. I then ask, who play more, player A or player B? The contender then has to guess who made more appearances for the Hatters and try and get as high up on our leaderboard as possible. It's now time to play Hatter or Lower, and this week's contender is the Great Dane, Lars Elstrup. How are the nerves?
Do it now. Don't miss out on this great chance.
Here we go. Right. First question. Who played more? Dave Beaumont or Kingsley Black?
Kingsley Black.
Correct. Dave Beaumont played 91 times. Kingsley Black 156. Well done. Up and running. Here we go. Well done. Who played more? Kerry Hughes or Julian James?
Kerry Hughes.
Incorrect. Kerry Hughes played 205 times for Luton Town. Julian James 335.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah, Julian James. He was at Luton for pretty much his entire career.
Yes.
But Kerry was there for a long time as well. But he had a really bad injury, as did Julian James, funnily enough. Right. Who played more? Mark Pembridge or Darren McDonough?
Mark Pembridge might have gotten sold. I will say Darren McDonough.
Correct. Mark Pembridge played 70 times for Luton Town. Darren McDonough 127. A lot of appearances for Darren McDonough. Next up, who played more? Jason Rees or Sean Farrell?
Jason Rees, Sean Farrell. I'd say Jason Rees.
Correct. Jason Rees played 96 times for Luton Town. Sean Farrell, 31. There we go. Now we're cooking, aren't we? Right, next up. Who played more? Marvin Johnson or David Priest?
David Priest.
Ooh, incorrect. Marvin Johnson.
No, it's a trick question. I was thinking about it.
They both played a lot of games for Luton Town. Marvin Johnson with 439 appearances for Luton.
Well, Marvin.
From 86 to 2002. He was there for a long time. David Priest, 395. I thought I was giving you an easy one there.
David Priest is an
No,
icon in England.
he is.
always
He is.
been
What was
He's
it like
always
playing with Preece?
Yeah, I thought he had more.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it like playing with David Priest? Like, what a player he was.
Well, he was a calm player in the midfield, and he was the leader, and he set the pace. It was good playing with him. He had good football understanding.
That's nice. That's nice to hear. Right, next up. Who played more? Alec Chamberlain or Richard Harvey?
Richard Harvey.
Correct. Alec Chamberlain played
Back
159 times for Luton Town. Richard Harvey 192. Richard Harvey played a lot of games for Luton Town. Right, next up. Who played more? Steve Williams or Graham Rodger?
Steve Williams.
Correct. Steve Williams played 49 times for Luton Town. Graham Rodger, 33. They get harder now. They do get harder. Who play more? Tim Breaker or John Dreyer?
John Dreyer.
Incorrect. Tim Breaker played 262 times for Luton Town. John Dreyer, 250. Do you know John Dreyer's nickname that the players gave him? It might.
I know Dasmo. John Dreyer had a name.
Tumble, yeah. I thought it might not translate to Danish. I don't know if you have tumble dryers over there.
We have. So that's why he's called Tumble.
Yeah, tumble dryer.
Oh, I never figured that out.
You learn something new every day. Right. Final two questions. Who played more? Ian Dowie or Lars Elstrup?
That's a hard one. 2 seasons I almost played full games, and Ian got sold. I would say Lars Elstrup.
Incorrect. It's a tight one, though. Ian Dowie played 78 times for Luton Town. Lars Elstrup, 70.
Close.
Very close. Yeah, very close. And the final question. Who played more? Mick Kennedy, Mr. Thunderthighs, downing pints of Guinness, or Kurt Nogan?
I haven't followed Kurt Nogan's career and which clubs he's been to that much. I know Mick. He was there 1 year. I would say Kurt Nogan.
Correct. Mick Kennedy played 36 times for Luton Town. Kurt Nogan, 39. It got pretty tight at the end there, didn't it? You've done really well. Upper mid-table, 6 out of 10. How does that feel, Lars?
Very good. I am very happy with myself.
You should be. That puts you on par with former Luton Town chairman Nick Owen. You've beaten Faye Carruthers, who got 5 out of 10. And you're ahead of Simon Oxley and club historian Roger Wash. How about that?
Okay. That is tremendous. I know Roger.
Yeah, he's a top guy. Lars, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.